Tom waited. Alicia filed early. One of them left $176,000 on the table. By the end of this video, you'll know which one and why. Tom had $340,000 in savings and did everything by the book. He ran the projections, he knew the math. He followed the standard advice: delay Social Security. Every year you wait past 62, your monthly check gets bigger. Wait longer. Be disciplined. So Tom waited. Now he's sitting at his kitchen table doing the math again because his doctor just found something. And suddenly, every projection he ran doesn't apply anymore. That's the part nobody warns you about. This decision isn't just math. It's your math, your body, your marriage, your money, and the specific year the market decides to fall apart. And here's the part that should actually make you angry. The SSA built a free calculator to help people figure this out. Then they took it down. Why? Because people treated the result like a final answer instead of a starting point. So the solution was remove the tool. You can't make that up. So here's what we're doing in this video. I'm going to walk you through 7 real situations where filing at 62 actually makes sense. And I'm not talking about people who messed up. I'm talking about people who did everything right and still end up sitting where Tom and Alicia are right now. But first, you need a framework, because once you see this, everything clicks. Think of Social Security like a water tower. Every year you work, it fills up. Wait longer, more pressure builds. Wait until 70, maximum pressure. But here's the key. That tower is yours. You filled it. And if something changes before you open the valve, that water doesn't roll over. There's no refund on what you didn't use. So the real question isn't early or late. It's simple. When do you open the valve? Most planners give you the same answer, not yet. But that answer assumes a very specific life. And not everyone is living that life. Tom isn't, and neither is Alicia. 7 situations where filing early actually makes sense. Let's get into it. But before the reasons, you need to see one number because it changes everything. Here's the model. Tom made $90,000 in his final working year. Solid upper middle class income. Here's what his Social Security looks like. At 62, about $2,300 a month. At 67, about $3,250. At 70, just over $4,000. Simple pattern. Wait longer, bigger checks. Start earlier, more years. So how do people usually decide? They ask one question. Which option gives me more total money before I die? If you start early, you get smaller checks for longer. If you wait, you get bigger checks for fewer years. At some point, those two paths cross. That's your break even. Usually late 70s, early 80s. But here's what almost nobody tells you. Most people think life expectancy is around 79. That's misleading, because if you've already made it to 62, the data says something very different, closer to 84. If you've cleared 6 decades without a serious health crisis, the tables say you've probably got 2 more decades ahead of you. So what does that mean for Tom? If he lives to 84 and waits until 67, he comes out about $62,000 ahead compared to filing at 62. Waiting wins at that lifespan. But shift one variable, just one. Move his life expectancy down 5 years to 79. Now filing early wins. Same person, same system, completely different answer. That's the real game. Not early versus late. Certain versus uncertain. And there's one more piece most people miss. Inflation. Social Security increases every year. So a bigger base benefit means bigger increases over time. That gap compounds. Over a full retirement, you're potentially looking at a $246,000 difference between filing at 62 and waiting until 70. That's not small. That's a completely different outcome. $246,000. That's what's sitting in the model. Now, 7 situations where it actually makes sense to leave it on the table. The first one is the most straightforward, and the one people feel most awkward saying out loud. Your health is telling you something. If your family history is short and you've already had a serious health scare, your break even is not Tom's. The math is different when your timeline is different. Getting something out of a system you paid into for decades is the whole point. If your water tower has structural issues, you don't wait for it to fill up completely. You open the valve. The second situation is one most people dismiss as emotional. It isn't. Your best years aren't at the end. Retirement spending follows a predictable curve. High in the early active years, lower in the middle, nearly nothing toward the end. The same dollar at 63 buys a trip. At 82, it covers a copay. That's not pessimism, that's the data. And filing early puts real money in the window where you can actually use it. This brings us to something that gets missed at almost every retirement planning conversation. Your spouse may be sitting on unclaimed income. If your spouse has little or no Social Security credit of their own, they may qualify for spousal benefits, up to 50% of your full retirement benefit. But those benefits don't activate until you file. So every month you delay, that income stays locked. That's money your household earned, sitting there because nobody asked the right question. Now here's where it gets counterintuitive, and this is the one I think matters most. Your spouse is the higher earner, and their health is uncertain. Most people assume the higher earner should delay as long as possible. Sometimes that's exactly wrong. Here's why. You file for your own smaller benefit at 62 and start collecting now. When your spouse passes, you switch to their larger survivor benefit. You don't lose one to get the other. You collect during the years your spouse is alive. Then you transition to the bigger payout. You don't leave money on the floor, and you don't give up the larger benefit later. Here's one that almost never shows up in the conversation, but should. The market just dropped. If you're already in retirement and drawing down your portfolio, and the market falls 30 or 40%, every dollar you pull out at a loss is a dollar that can't recover. Activating Social Security in a downturn gives you a guaranteed income floor. You stop selling at the worst possible time. Your portfolio gets room to breathe, and if you haven't started drawing down yet, you could turn on your benefit and route that check directly into beaten down index funds, while everyone else is panic selling. That's not a desperate move. That's opportunistic thinking. This one is easy to miss because it's invisible until it's gone. Your taxes are temporarily low. Right after you stop working and before required withdrawals begin, you're often sitting in a quiet tax window. In that window, your Social Security income might be barely taxed at all. At 73, the IRS requires you to start withdrawing from traditional retirement accounts, whether you need the money or not. Those withdrawals push your income up. Your Social Security gets pulled into taxable territory. File early and you lock in years of lower tax income before that floodgate opens. In some situations, the timing of when you file isn't just a benefit decision, it's a tax move. And the last one, no softening here. Sometimes the money runs short. The plan breaks. Health issues. A business that didn't survive. A pension that got restructured. Someone in your family who needed help. Social Security exists for exactly this. If you need it, you use it. That's not a planning failure. That's the system doing what it was built to do. Now let me show you what this looks like in real life. Alicia, age 62. Her benefit? $2,100 a month. If she waits, $2,900. Sounds better to wait, but her husband, the higher earner, has a serious heart condition. He passes at 69. If she had waited, she would have collected nothing for 7 years and then switched to his benefit anyway. Instead, she filed, collected for 7 years. Total, $176,000. That money doesn't come back. Valve closed, never opened. Now, to be clear, this isn't always the right call. Sometimes waiting wins. Here's when. If you're healthy, have strong savings, and both spouses have high benefits, waiting can win big. That $246,000 gap is real, and delaying Social Security is roughly an 8% guaranteed return. If your portfolio can't beat that, waiting becomes very hard to argue against. One more thing. Advisors get paid based on how much they manage. If you delay Social Security, you withdraw more from investments, which increases their fee base. That's not corruption, but it is an incentive. So what's the right answer? Early or late? Wrong question. The real question is, which of these situations actually describes your life right now? 3 things to do this week. 1. Run your break even. Then move your life expectancy 3 years up and down. If your answer flips, your margin for error is thin. 2. If you're married, run this as a household decision. These benefits interact. One choice affects both people. 3. Rerun your numbers when something changes. Health, market, income, that's when decisions matter. Back to Tom. He is still sitting at that kitchen table. But now he knows what to look for.